Hello, everybody. Today is June 1st. We're like halfway through the year, and we have another package of orange soda to show you guys.
Another package?
Somebody won the engagement challenge.
Well, I mean, usually it's Ryan who brings it in, but this week it's from the viewers. Viewers like you.
I've not been able to source it. Now, technically, this doesn't solve your problem because I don't think we can source these things either, but it is a treat to get to see them all. And there's a lot of them. Shall we just put them on the desk?
Yeah. You unpack while I read. Thanks for all the great tech news you bring us. It's not great news. It's very depressing.
Yeah, it's all sad news.
I hope you like extras. You only need to share if you want to. Unicorn Farts Sour Ale. Local Hazy IPA. Local Mud PB&J. It says rare. Lots of Weller Full Root. Barrel Dick Very Rare. Lots of liquor. Store swag. Oh no, I said a thing.
Publix. I wish we had Publix. I hear a lot of good things about Publix.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. That's cold.
I also like Wegmans. Anybody that has a Wegmans locally, you should be thankful. No need for thanks, but if you wanted to give me a shout out, I'm Morgan at Winthrop Liquors in Florida.
Oh, an actual store owner.
Thank you.
Wave soda tangerine. Not technically orange.
I think there's 2 cans of that. Now, I did have one request, as I am, as an avid military arms collector, mostly World War I, Vietnam, if you ever have a gun or gun-related questions, you bring those questions my way. No question is too small or big. This goes for the Level 1 crew. So history, value, etc. I got you. Also, liquor questions, you can DM me. Oh, there's a number there that I may have been showing to the camera the whole time on the other side. Whoops. I'll have to check that in editing.
I got a question for you. Garand, Garand, or Garand? There's so many arguments about that.
We'll get a written note back. It's Garen. It's just like, that doesn't help.
He was Canadian. I think it's Garand. This we can get locally.
The ice, yeah.
Well, we got 3 episodes of the news. Maybe I'll get to that one eventually. So I hope you love the soda.
This should be week by week.
Morgan. Oh, one random cool thing I own is an MK213 British Ferret APVC. I don't have a lot of money, but everyone gets lucky. Maintenance is always killing my rockets.
Ooh, that's a new one.
Well, thank you.
Welcome to the watch list, sir.
We've been here a while.
Or ma'am. It could be, Morgan could be either, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in here. Is this swag from their store?
Yeah, probably. There's no Linode, so congratulations. Deep Eddie Lime. This episode is brought to you by...
I think it's just alcohol swag.
Old Forester Louisville Distilling Company. That should be pretty local.
And?
Deep Eddie vodka.
A stick.
Oh, that's a nice stick.
You gonna stir some paint? I think that was added for structural integrity.
Drink responsibly.
Wow.
Oh, and
I want you to chug all that orange soda right now.
a bag of Dum-Dums. That seems to be a shot glass.
Get it? It's a shot glass.
Yeah. Oh, there's 2 of those. All right. Which one am I doing first?
I think you stick with orange. That's tangerine.
Oh.
But it's got an orange-looking thing on it. Contains 15%. Oh.
This is mango. Oh no, this is orange mango. Nah, I still think you should start with Publix.
Would you like a...
No.
No.
Let's see what the ingredients are. Carbonated water, citric acid, potassium citrate, gum, acea, potassium benzoate, sucralose, natural flavors, Easter gum, acetylflame, potassium, yellow, red, number 40. No aspartame. Very low sodium, 35 milligrams.
Let's hear that sweet.
12 ounces.
What's the percentage? That's not low.
2%.
That's not too bad. You know, Chris, you say the stones, but I don't think this stuff's caffeinated, is it? Although this says politely caffeinated.
Isn't that still bad, though?
Oh, yeah.
Like, soda's still bad for kidney stones?
Poison, yeah. Well, I don't know about kidney
It's delicious, but...
It's just bad for you in general. I don't like this stuff. I don't like the artificial sweeteners.
This is in fact sell by July 20th, 2021, so it's got a very limited shelf life apparently.
Well, I wouldn't blame him if he sent the stuff out of the storeroom. Or her, I'm sorry.
That's very satisfying.
Do you remember the other ones enough to
Give a rating.
This is a B plus,
I think you gave a B plus to
maybe an A minus.
I think you gave a B plus to Kroger brand.
It has a very mild odor, more carbonation than some of the other orange sodas, but perhaps not as much carbonation as Orange Crush. It's close though. There's definitely not a strong smell. And you know how like after you have like a swig of something like vermouth, it's wet at the time, but then immediately very dry. It's like that.
That's the chemicals doing their job.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a solvent in my mouth, I guess.
Just what I look for in a refreshing drink. So it seems like so far, you like the store brands.
Yeah, the Publix, they've done a good job assembling this from various kinds of industrial waste. This is entirely drinkable.
And Big K was the runner-up to that, I think.
Yeah.
So
I like that it doesn't have aspartame. That's a big win. Sucralose is perhaps less dangerous. Engagement challenge.
but Publix is more southern, right?
Is it? I've seen it in like Philadelphia.
I'm in Florida.
I don't.
What, they don't know
We're too
us?
poor. We only
Yeah.
get Save a Lot.
We got Meyer.
Dollar General.
So yeah, thank you for sending these things in. These are cool treats, and we'll try these candidates in coming weeks.
I'll probably get to those in the next episode or two.
Yeah, we
feel
can do
like-
one at the beginning of each episode
I
this
feel
week.
like that's premature, but whatever.
We do have alcoholic. There's alcoholic orange stuff downstairs. We'll get to that next week. I just couldn't schlep it all upstairs.
I doubt
Paul, we
that's
can do a drunk
sugar-free.
news.
I guess it could be. Oof. Artificial sweetener and alcohol.
That seems like a dangerous combination.
It's a heady brew.
You know what else is a heady brew?
Amazon and the government. And here we have a little bit of a, the government giveth and the government taketh away. First, we'll talk about what they're going to be takething away.
DC Attorney General files antitrust lawsuit against Amazon. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, wasn't the Department of Justice mulling an antitrust lawsuit against Amazon? And that would be correct. The DC Attorney General doesn't have anything to do with that. This has to do with other stuff that Amazon is doing.
And it's smart to get in first. Not like you have to get in line with debtors. I mean, Amazon's always going to have the money to pay you. And here's one that might have you scratching your head just a little bit. And of course, I have to think this has to do with that old revolving door.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy part. Here's the reason that this is so successful and why it's so dangerous. It's the return on investment. Because they admitted the lobbying company that they've been engaging since the first of the year, they spent $50,000 with. $50,000, which will then turn into...
Senate preparing a $10 million bailout.
No, you said million.
Oh, billion.
Billion.
Yeah, Senate
Whoa.
preparing a $10 billion bailout fund for Jeff Bezos' space program, Blue Origin. So they lost some contracts lately. But the government says, you know what? Blue Origin, it's doing good stuff. We'll probably get some valuable science out of it. You have a contract too. It doesn't matter. Just spend some money.
It's only $10 billion.
I think they spent more than 50,000 on the lobbying because the article says it's 625,000 lobbying the Senate in the first 3 months of 2021.
But the specific one to the Blue Origin thing was 50,000.
But
That
still,
was all of Amazon's lobbying budget.
that's obscene.
I'm sure that entered into it. I'm sure that it's a 50,000 to a team of lobbyists at a firm called Clark Hill that would specifically focus on moon landing program. It's a hell of a return on investment.
Yeah.
If you could find me a place where I could invest 50,000 and 6 months later get 10 billion, I believe I would do it.
Now, to try to maybe be fair, Bezos is not going to pocket that $10 billion. It's going to be a $10 billion investment into a space program. But, I mean, if like government contracting is anything to go by, you're going to need a real specific list of deliverables because When it comes time to pay, they're standing there with their hand out. But when it comes time to deliver, things get weird.
We're
Listen,
gonna need another 6 months.
it's space. You can't really predict these things. Yeah, like Krista says, another 10 billion, we'll take care of it. Don't worry. And they'll probably get it.
Maybe, hopefully.
And that is the problem with having government and business so closely intertwined. That's where the corruption comes. That's where the danger comes. And that's why this, although considering what we went through, it might sound like a good idea, this worries me greatly.
DHS is the first to issue cybersecurity regulations for pipelines after Colonial hack. So the Department of Homeland Security is popping up and saying, hey, you should structure your IT systems a little differently to avoid this kind of thing.
Now, the headline, the Washington Post is trying to put lipstick on this pig, and they say DHS. It's actually a subsidiary of the DHS that you might have heard of, the TSA. The TSA is going to be in charge of the pipelines.
Because they're all about transportation security other than airlines. But you didn't know that, but that was in their charter from day one. TSA is your local Greyhound station? Yep, that could be a thing.
TSA monitoring the gas pumps you use? Yeah, that could be a thing. We have seen some real rough times in the cryptocurrency market. And the problem with the cryptocurrency market is that the powers that be still kind of have their boot on its neck. And if they push a little bit, we get what we saw last week and ongoing at this point. And a lot of people have said that the thing that precipitated this was China getting into their own digital currency, the central bank.
And also a lot of mining operations that were raided and shut down.
But that was a result of China not wanting competition in the cryptocurrency market.
Yeah.
So you can then extrapolate if this were to happen.
The Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome H. Powell outlines the Federal Reserve's response to technological advances driving rapid change in the global payments landscape. I noticed that he was insanely careful to avoid the whole cryptocurrency thing and kept referring to it as a digital payment system.
This is the Fed coin, which they have talked about previously. And I suspect they want this to starve out every other digital currency and only have us using this. And the beauty of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is the polar opposite of this. Those are freedom oriented. This is top-down control oriented. Track everything.
That's how it works at the Federal Reserve, right? That's why we have so little fraud when we're trading stocks, and we have things like, you definitely, oh wait.
Well, most of the stuff they do is legal. It might be terrible, but it might still be
It is
theft.
legal.
That's going to be the theme for this week's episode. It was really terrible. We were totally loading golden retrievers into a chipper shredder, but it wasn't illegal.
You know what else is illegal? Which is weird because I'm sure seeing a lot of it. It's illegal to coerce someone to take an experimental drug. Very illegal. Nuremberg illegal. And yet, again, the old public-private getting together, bad news.
The White House is partnering with dating apps to get horny people vaccinated.
Time to swipe.
You wouldn't be able to get a payment processor. You'd get banned from Cloudflare and your registrar would kick you off. But if you had the unvaxxed only dating app, the first one, you'd make a lot of money. Maybe if you take Bitcoin.
I was thinking about the guy that was doing. He bought the DNA sequencer thing. He was doing his own CRISPR at home, his experiments on himself, and they shut that down very fast.
You can do your own kind of experimenting with your dating app. And Florida, we know, is one of the states that has taken a remarkably different approach to our current situation than most of the other ones. And some people say it's a success, some people say it's not. Who do you believe? But they've also decided to treat their politicians much differently than everybody else. And that is causing some controversy.
Florida, in a first, will fine social media companies that bar candidates from posting or saying things or anything like that. It wasn't just political candidates. It was something that implies like journalistic type people as well as political candidates, but Yeah, I don't. This is probably not going to end well.
But wasn't this one? Was it this one where they had the big exception
For theme park companies?
theme park companies? Remind me, is there a theme park company in Florida?
I think that's Disney.
Oh,
Disney doesn't have a lot of power, though, so I mean, it's not like they wrote that in.
why would they get an exception?
We don't want to piss off the mouse.
It's just incredible. It's incredible what they think they can get away with, and they do. California continues to aggressively go with the whole climate change narrative, and they keep making laws based on that.
California will require Uber and Lyft drivers to transition to electric cars, but not yellow cab. Electric vehicles must account for 90% of ride-hailing vehicle miles traveled by California in 2030. Okay, that makes more sense. They're just headline baiting. This does, in fact, apply to yellow cab.
Yeah. Well, if you just bought a brand new Prius, does Prius count as an electric vehicle? It's a hybrid, right?
Probably.
Let's say you bought a brand new Honda Civic, and that's a good fuel economy car, right? And you're like, this Honda Civic is going to be my Uber car, my main source of income for the next 10 years.
Nope.
Nope. You might get 8. And this is one of those situations where, great headline, right? Sounds wonderful.
Again, golden retrievers into the chipper shredder. It wasn't illegal. It was just really wrong.
And who's getting punished over this?
Oh, literally nobody.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah.
Literally nobody.
The Guardian reports that GCHQ's mass data interception violated the right to privacy. The court has ruled. And then they said, well, it wasn't illegal. What?
What are you going to do?
GCHQ, man. It was like, well, there probably should be some oversight here and some control, but yeah, this is fine.
That's hard.
It's not fine. It's actually just, it's right on the line of illegal, but it's just not over the line.
You know what we've discovered is spies really don't like oversight.
Yeah.
So we're just not going to do that.
Golden retrievers right into the chipper shredder.
Young ones, too.
Cute little baby
cutest.
puppies.
Young ones and really old ones.
Oh.
Yeah. Some of them, like, there's steps up to the shredder, but some of them were so old they also had to build a ramp. Yeah. It's terrible.
Not illegal.
Actually, that is illegal. Don't do that. And we have a flurry of, well, I guess it's only a couple. No. There's 3 stories. Yeah, a flurry of European new attacks on tech companies. I mean, that's not big news at this point. It's just, you just randomize the country of origin and the tech company that's being attacked.
This one I really didn't. This one and I think one of the other ones I really didn't think had a lot of teeth to it. But okay,
we'll see.
The EU is set to open an antitrust program to Facebook's classified ad business. The complaint is that websites that offer classified ad services have their traffic go down when Facebook offers similar services. People that use Facebook don't have to leave Facebook to post a classified ad.
We know that this is the kind of thing that Google does.
Yeah.
With impunity.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Facebook is kind of like, well, why? We're not allowed to do it?
Yeah.
Everybody else, Amazon's doing it. Are they not?
Yeah, but Amazon paid more bribes, so.
They paid their $50,000.
We'll talk a little bit more about the Amazon side of it in the business section. But yeah, I mean, I just don't think this has a lot of teeth to it because it's up to the person. It would be like saying that, if you click a link and it doesn't open a new tab, that's lower friction than if you open a new tab in the background to go do something. And so websites shouldn't open a new tab or something because it's slightly more work to use another website than to just use the same website.
Now, this next one, you might be thinking, yeah, this is a big problem. We got to do something about this. And it is a big problem. I mean, our world is, who do you trust at this point?
Yeah.
You really can't
Literally
trust anybody.
no one.
Yeah. But here's the danger here that Financial Post didn't seem fit to think about or print. What's unspoken here is that in order to do this, the government must decide what counts as disinformation. There must be a ministry of truth, basically.
The Financial Post headline is EU guidelines target tech giants over monetizing disinformation. They're up in arms because there are ads appearing on web pages created by users that contain information that is considered misinformation. But like you say, the problem with this is that, okay, we're going to monetize disinformation, but who decides what's disinformation? This is a Pandora's box. We should not open this box.
This is Pandora's tractor trailer.
Carrying a load of hay and you're driving behind it on a little tiny country highway.
It's not like in Ghostbusters when Slimer got loose. It's more like unleashing the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man times 50 all over the world.
Or when that guy got in the water supply
Yeah.
and absorbed all the hate.
Yeah.
Those are good movies. And Clearview AI, again, this is another headline where you just change the locality. And we've seen it before, but they're not wrong. They're right to do this, I think.
Clearview AI hit with sweeping legal complaints over controversial face scraping in Europe. Privacy watchdogs say, wait a minute. They believe that Clearview's image scraping methods violate European laws. Well, as we saw with the GCHQ, mass collection is wrong, but not illegal.
The best kind of not illegal.
You think that that's totally going to rule the same way, right? Because there's not really a lot of difference between what GCHQ is doing and what Clearview is doing. And Clearview has already been said that that was fine, but not really.
But you can't extract money from GCHQ. So.
Has all the facial recognition stuff, like, have they reached a point where they get around the masks yet?
They claim to, but I think a lot of that was just marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they definitely claimed in Hong Kong they could identify them, but they might have just been making that up to track down dissidents.
One of the comments on the video last week was around the Hong Kong thing. Somebody was getting a lot of captures for identify the pictures that contain umbrellas, and it was like,
Oh, that's a great way to train that AI, isn't it?
Yeah.
And in Germany, much the same kind of thing. It's interesting because not only they do it at the EU level, but then they do it at the country level as well. And it's just another one in the big line of antitrust.
Google is facing sweeping antitrust probes in Germany. So Germany's, getting the sharp tools out.
One cool thing about that Clearview story, I think it was the Clearview story, but a German guy went all the way up the chain in the courts and he made Clearview delete the hash that represents his face. So if you're in Germany, you should do that.
If only like 50 people did that, it would bankrupt them because it's so involved.
Yeah. And imagine how expensive that gets every time you do a search when you got to look at the bad list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great. Please do that, Germans. Do something. And maybe you'll have time to do that because you won't be driving as much. So while you're riding around, you can be attacking Clearview in your free time.
Germany aims to get self-driving cars on the roads in 2022. I was really excited for some substance in this article, but really what they're talking about is just changing the laws to make it so that companies can get their pre-existing self-driving cars on the road. This is not changing the infrastructure or like awarding somebody a bus contract as the picture would imply. It's literally just changing the law so that businesses could come in and do that if they want to.
And they will focus on mass transit. But you don't have to have the babysitter driver.
No.
Once this goes into effect.
And it didn't seem like Germany was willing to make changes to the streets, like embed a wire or something for them to follow.
But they did say that one rule was level 4 autonomy. Who's got that?
Yeah, nobody right now.
Yeah, so they're being very optimistic about what's going to happen in less than a year.
Yeah.
6 months.
And if they keep aggravating Google, Google's going to be like, good luck with your own internal self-driving program.
Give us some of that money back. Maybe we'll think about this. Maybe you should just drop a couple of these court cases. And so that's, some good news and some bad news from Germany, but now some really, really bad news from Germany. This is a picture of the internet that is going to be absolutely horrific. I don't know. I don't like our chances of stopping it, but if we don't stop it, we are going to regret this in a huge way.
German quote-unquote upload filter law sets standards to prevent overblocking. But when you dig into it, it's really, really horrifying. The upload filter basically says that a lot of the stuff that we and other things get demonetized for is okay, but the reality is that it's still going to be over-enforced.
But it's very specific It's like you can use less than 15 seconds of it for it to be minor. 15 seconds of video, audio, 160 characters of text, or 125 kilobytes of graphics. What if we have, in the future, if we get the most amazing compression algorithm in the world, are they going to lower that?
Probably not. No.
Yeah, what does this do to the meme?
This is your transformational work. You also must modify it in some way. So what's going to happen here is if there's something that gets DMCA'd or whatever, what's their thing called? Notice of something, takedown?
Yeah.
It will just simply be blocked from being uploaded from that point forward. Think about that.
By hash. But you can change the hash on something pretty trivially easily.
You know what they're doing on Usenet? And this is annoying, but it's like, they just put 2 copies of the files in the same release. And the robots look at it and they're like, that's the wrong file size for this name. This hash doesn't match. So you have to download double, but you still get it. Brilliant. And our Western countries are not the only ones that love to attack big tech companies. Everybody loves it.
Russia raises the heat on Twitter and Google and Facebook in online crackdown. So they're issuing fines and slowing them down. And the next story has some more info about that on the Twitter side of things.
Yeah, they do not care for quote-unquote illegal content. And when there is something that happens, they're like, take it down now. They mean now.
Russia makes good on its threat to fine Google over illegal internet content. It named a bunch of stuff, but really what it was actually trying to take down were the people that were talking about Alexei Navalny. He's the guy that got poisoned and was saved by amazing German doctors and then went back to, face his parole violation for daring to leave to Germany to get his life saved. And then now he's in prison. He's in prison and also starving to death and being tortured probably, which is not good.
Yikes. But you're not allowed to talk about that.
No, that's going to slow down your whole website. But it's amazing that we have the technology to be able to do that.
And here's the one that is causing so much sadness around the world. And like we pointed out before, it's because probably because China has their own ideas on how this should work. It doesn't include Bitcoin.
China will likely ban all Bitcoin mining soon. Good news, you're going to be able to buy graphics cards.
Gently used.
Gently.
Not gently. Every graphics card that you buy from AliExpress or wherever is going to have like just a little hint of smoke scent on it.
A little melted.
Is this pepper spray from the SWAT team that raided the...
Little shreds of umbrella for packing material. And here's a bit of an ironic headline, although I must say any government that said this, it would still be ironic because they all do it. But China's kind of famous for it.
The South China Morning Post says that China has called out ByteDance, Kuaishou, and LinkedIn for illegal data collection. Wait a minute. So you mean what the U.S. government was complaining about with ByteDance and TikTok? That's correct? And the Chinese government agrees?
Maybe ByteDance has stopped sharing.
Yeah. They've done something to anger the party.
So, yeah. They're not happy about the data collection, which they do like collecting data, though. We know that about them. Oh, going back for more. That's a strong endorsement.
It is very nice.
You can never get it again. Savor it. And another country that has been angered by a big tech company is India. They are not too happy because if you remember, Twitter has this new thing where they will mark what they consider to be disinformation. And they claim to apply across the board. Maybe that's true.
We talked about this last week, too.
Because they have upset some people in power.
Police in Delhi have descended on Twitter's headquarters in the country. An elite crime squad searched New Delhi Twitter offices. The company labeled tweets from members of the ruling party manipulated media. So some of this has to do with the journalists that reported that cow urine was not effective during the thing that we're all facing right now. And India's doubling, tripling, even quadrupling down on some of this. So you think about the German law that we talked about earlier. You think about some of the stuff that we started the program with about the whole Ministry of Truth, and you look at what's happening in India. We should not build these technologies because they absolutely will be abused.
We'd have to stop all technology if we did that. Now you're making the gun control argument. And India, you might be thinking, well, why would any big tech company tolerate this kind of thing from a country? Well, with India, it's because they have a lot of users. There are a lot of people who live in these countries, and they love mobile technology. It's one of their favorite things in the world. And India, I think India is like, we consider them an emerging market, but they're on maybe the upper end of the emerging market.
Yeah.
If you want to get on the ground floor of an emerging market, you got to go a little further south.
U.S.-China tech fight opens new front in Ethiopia. Huawei wants to sell Ethiopia 5G.
Nope. U.S. companies swooped in there, and they were like, here's a sweetheart deal, but guess what you can't have?
Huawei.
And I think one other company, right?
Yes.
One of the other ones was on Trump's list. So the people of Ethiopia will be getting probably some overpriced networking equipment, but maybe they won't get spied on by China. They'll get spied on by us.
Yeah, by us for sure.
Tim Cook really needs to know what the trends are in Ethiopia.
I bet he does. I bet he gets a daily email.
Not according to the lawsuit, but
although
cover that in business.
I think the people of Africa are far too, number one, poor, and number two, pragmatic to mess with Apple, right?
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about the India market is that there's a lot of people in India that are extremely intelligent. And so it's going to be a different situation than some of the other markets, the market is going to be different. It's going to have different behavior because there's different goals for the people that are in that market.
I was watching one of those, like adventure tourism YouTube channels, and the guy was in somewhere in Africa. I think it was, I can't remember, but it was like mud hut type of deal. And a guy had a scooter that was Apple branded. It was clearly just a terrible paint job. Like there was no clear coat on it or anything. It was just like a nasty matte paint job, but there were little apples all over it.
Wow.
Krista, how much have you abandoned Overwatch at this point?
I don't play it as much as I used to. I did play a little bit last night, but that was like the first time I'd played in like 3 or 4 days, which is a lot for me.
And what's your current rank?
I haven't played competitive in months.
Wow.
I just play casual because it's like a nice turn off your brain and just play the game.
Well, that's disgusting, Krista, because now more than ever, you should be applying yourself, because when it comes to opportunities, esports is still exploding.
South Korean Congressman proposes HOTS law to prevent termination of esports events.
So HOTS is Heroes of the Storm.
The Storm.
But Blizzard unilaterally canceled that, I guess, and that's why everybody was upset.
I mean, if you spend that amount of time getting good at something, and then they're just like, all right, we're done with this. Although I imagine some of that could translate over into another game, right?
I was thinking some of this, like some of the I meant to look before the thing, but wasn't the reason for the cancellation because they were supporting Hong Kong?
I don't know.
It was like, no, you can't unilaterally cancel a thing to just...
I think
apparently they didn't tell anybody. Like they just announced it, and then they were like, oh yeah, by the way.
Oh, it's the Global Championship and Heroes of the Dorm. So I think like it's not they're canceling the game, it's just these programs. And I got a new text buddy. I don't want the new text buddy. And so they're just like, hey, our economy is like really involved with this. We have TV stations that are they're putting time out for this. They're selling ads. And then you just come along and you just cancel it? This is our economy. Because it doesn't mean as much here.
Yeah.
I've seen HOTS tournaments at like Buffalo Wild Wings before here.
Yeah, but they probably weren't like, it's a big deal in Korea.
Yeah, like here it was noon on a weekday when we were there for lunch.
Would that be like them canceling the World Cup?
Well, actually I saw, so they're having, I guess it's the NBA playoffs right now. And the guy who owns the arena had so little confidence in his team, he booked the WWF on the night of Game 7. And it went to Game 7. So they have a contract for that night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So it's that kind of thing. I mean, you would have an arena in Korea that might host this kind of thing. Well, are we moving on to social media?
Yes.
No, we're not.
What?
Oh, are we?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Might be security.
Oh
No.
shit, we got the categories wrong.
I got one bad sort. Flop these two, Krista. That's the transition one. Yes. Okay. So instead of that one, we will go with
We're all mixed up, chat.
more internet blocking. And this one, certainly, this is like the child exploitation laws, where it's like, well, yeah, this is a good reason to do this, but we still shouldn't do it because it's a slippery slope.
Indonesian government blocks hacking forum after data leak. Raid forums, a well-known cybercrime hub, in an attempt to stop the spread of a sensitive information leak. Because you're hearing about this on the relatively obscure Level 1 news, it was definitely very effective.
But I mean, do you think they understand that it doesn't have to come from that forum? They can spread it in other ways?
The Streisand effect?
Is this the guy that's like does the cow stuff? Is he the one that made this decision?
Probably.
He was just like he had that 2 liter. He had a 2 liter of cow urine, and he was just like,
That's Indonesia. That's not India.
"Oh, Indonesia."
You did a thing that I usually
awkward.
do, which is get the name of things wrong, which I do a lot because I'm visualizing things.
That's interesting. Although that part of the world, like remember what we've like Vietnam has been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at of course, the anime avatar for the hackers. That's a stereotype that I've never seen not proven.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do you remember the time that we were in the really insane meeting and it was like, something from a movie and it was like, oh yeah, here's the logo for our group and it was like a pony, unicorn pony.
No, I
I don't
don't.
think I was in that meeting.
Yeah, it was just the two of us. It's like, here's the logo for the thing. It's like, oh my gosh, this is like My Little Pony logo. But it was like the
I don't remember that. You have to remember
I'll
that.
refresh your memory after we stop
You blocked-
recording. And you'll be like, oh my
blocked that
god, yeah.
memory.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to the social media section, and of course, this immediately relates to a story that we just looked at because the social media companies were not going to tolerate what Mr. DeSantis has decided to do, especially since he left them basically that theme park exception. Is any judge or jury
No.
going to tolerate that? I mean, come on.
Industry groups sue to stop Florida's new social media law because it's unconstitutional and the whole they're a private enterprise and can do what they want, which is kind of funny because they're private enterprise and can do what they want is sort of the drum that they've been beating on other things. But when it comes to social media, that's not the case.
I do agree that we've entered into a world where this is such a part of our life. Like it's such an important part of the narrative that the world goes by. It is weird when you can just be deleted from that.
Yeah.
But I don't know that this helps.
I don't think it does.
Because the problem here, and this is, right now, the people who are against this for that reason are in power.
Yeah.
But you won't be forever.
Well, I mean, this is the same government that had the data scientist lady arrested. And even if she was fudging the numbers and the worst person in the world, the optics of that situation should never have been allowed to come to pass because it makes everything seem like a total clown show and undermines the public confidence in government.
And didn't she put that on Twitter?
Yes.
So shouldn't it have been Twitter's decision?
You would think.
Based on this. Over at Facebook, they have been wrangling with these sorts of things. They've been saying, hey, look, the guy that leads our company is sort of like a de facto leader of the country.
Oh, he's just a benevolent dictator. It's fine.
This dark, twisted world that we live in, he wields real power. Is that okay? And the answer shouldn't surprise you.
Facebook board rejects calls to curb Zuckerberg's power. So this isn't the first time that this has come up, but Bloomberg likes to report on this because the investors are like, should he have this much power? Should we maybe turn his shares into less powerful shares so we can get somebody up here that would maybe not ride the company into oblivion, please?
Can you imagine taking over for him? If they showed you everything, then like day 2, you probably just jump out the window. And if they didn't show you everything, then you have to worry about what landmines are out there lurking.
It'd be like when they let Ron Paul in to audit the Fed, and then he showed up later and was like 20 years older and is like, we can't kill this thing.
You could have stopped it.
Yeah, it's going to be like that.
So yeah, I don't know that you can ever replace him and not fundamentally change it, which I understand that's what they want to do. And when it comes to, again, Facebook and the narrative, it's weird because the narrative changes so often. You never know where they're going to fall on a particular topic. I would say up until a year ago, they would have unashamedly gone the other way.
Yeah.
But it's turned. The narrative is turned. So now you got to go the other way.
Insider reports the headline, Apple refused to remove negative ratings for the Facebook app left by pro-Palestinian activists upset over censorship. So this is like, what was the whole time I was reading this, I was thinking about the app that got review bombed and then constantly had its reviews removed because of something they did. Remember that?
It was one of those, wasn't it one of those, was it an app or was it like a restaurant or something?
I think it was an app. It was an app.
I do remember that story.
It was an app for encryption, I think. But it was one of the Google apps too, I think.
But remember, they changed the rules. They also changed the rules when it came to video game reviews.
Yeah. And if they did all that then...
Chris, how embarrassing is it when you made your stock photo that you used a background the exact same color as the Facebook icon?
What?
And this header image, the Facebook icon is the
you
same
cut
color.
off a little bit.
Facebook icon is the same color as the background. You can't tell where it begins or ends.
I don't think that's necessarily bad.
Disgusting. In Business Insider, you should just shut it down.
It's shut down.
And we've seen this stock footage image before.
Yes.
We have.
Which is weird that they're just recycling it. What do you think they typed in to get this both times? India?
Yeah, probably just
India WhatsApp.
India mobile worker?
Yeah, it's in their media library is like India mobile.
Oh yeah, it's cached now.
Let's reverse image search that.
So WhatsApp they rolled out their new privacy policy and India was like, I don't think so. I think we'll change the laws. So of course WhatsApp has all the money in the world. What do you do?
WhatsApp sues the Indian government over new regulations. It's like, this is interfering with our ability to operate our business independently. We'll see how it works out for them.
Probably true.
This has to do with the slow frog boiling thing that we keep referring to with WhatsApp, where they keep sort of slowly changing the terms of service to be just as insidious as Facebook's. And
tying it in with Facebook.
And in this sort of climate, people are sort of clued into the whole, whether because of Apple or just because people are wising up to the situation. Nobody wants those changes in the terms of service. But they're going to alter the deal. What are you going to do? Not use WhatsApp?
People love it.
Yeah.
Especially Indian people. Can't live without it.
Came from Getty Images. The smallest version is $175.
Wow.
It's from 2018. That's the best picture people can source for this, I guess.
They probably bought it the one time and are using it on multiple stories
Just
until the credit runs out.
Money's worth.
Got a floater over there or something?
It sticks to the sides of the cup.
That means it's good. That means it's good for you. It sticks
It's
to
high
your
alcohol content.
I think it might be real sugar.
It's not supposed to be, right? It's diet.
Oh, sucralose. Sucralose is structurally very similar to sucrose. It's just left-handed, so that's probably what it is.
With wine, if it sticks to your glass, it means it's higher alcohol content, I think.
Engagement challenge.
Yeah.
What does it mean in Diet Orange Soda?
Yeah.
This makes me remember one of my favorite things about Donald Trump was that every time he got in front of a microphone talking about the current situation, he was like, yeah, it's the China virus. And people were so furious about that.
That was such a good, interpretation of how he speaks.
And he did it every time, and every newspaper would just rending their clothing and gnashing their teeth.
Why are you doing that?
Which is weird.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. But in India, They're trying to get ahead of that same issue.
India asks social media firms to remove reference to Indian variant of the thing. And I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure that the article on the whole Twitter raid, social media shutdown, whatever, they were also asking to take down some tweets that contained this in the mess of all of the other tweets.
And Twitter is not lying down. They feel like they are strong enough, their position is powerful enough that they can take on that Indian government.
Yeah, Bloomberg reports that Twitter has decried the Indian intimidation and will press for changes. So this is good. If you want to read about like how this kind of stuff is developing, this is actually a really good article to read to try to understand what's happening in that part of the world. But it applies not just to Twitter, but also Facebook and a lot of the stuff that we talk about. This is probably a pretty good Western analysis, I think, of the situation with like what are the laws and how do we comply and blah blah blah. And as I was reading this, I was also thinking about like the Tim Cook thing in China, because it's like, how do we do business in China? How do we comply with the laws there? Isn't that, human rights violations, blah, 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 China.
But if you remember, Apple did buck at first.
Yeah.
And that didn't last very long.
No. And Twitter is I think in the buck phase, but it'll be interesting to see when
they're doing the stages of grief.
What kind of world would it be if Twitter, the Twitter executive team has a higher set of morals and standards than the Apple team? Because the Apple team is, they're very white knighty, but in reality, not so much.
I could see that. Makes sense. Twitter,
I think that's too weird.
Twitter has less to sell you, which I think gives them more capacity for non-evil.
Is Jack Dorsey more interested in butchering a goat for you for dinner as part of sustainable?
No, I think Jack Dorsey's more of a human, but he really, really wants to be in the like woke power circle. And you have to really tiptoe around with other cultures when you want to be that person.
Do you think there's a billionaire hazing ceremony where like you have to murder something?
There's a lot of dark conspiracy theories that it's not just murder something, it's to do the Epstein thing. Well, a lot of people have been commenting our videos and saying, wow, I saw a lot of ads during this. They just kept coming. What's happening?
We try to set it to 2. Sometimes YouTube is like, nope.
Well, here's the good news. You're going to see way more of them. And not just on videos like ours.
YouTube announces changes in its terms of service. From June, content created by those who have not yet enrolled for their partner program will also run advertisements curated by the platform, and you won't get any of the money from that.
So if you're waiting to do that, you probably should just go ahead and do it. You're not going to make much money, but at least you'll get some pennies off of them.
You can always support us on Patreon and Floatplane. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I watched that Soft White Underbelly channel, and he was getting demonetized because these people are talking about like dark topics.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't. These are just real people just talking or just having a conversation. You keep demonetizing. So he did the YouTube like subscription thing, and then he posted a video, and he's like, it's been a week. I'm giving all the money back. We're not doing it, because he gave like 10 different reasons. It's the worst program in existence. He couldn't even do it.
Wow.
So that's where they are right now with the adpocalypse, the post-adpocalypse world.
Patreon, floatplane.com/level. Patreon.com. We have a really nice website and forum. You can hang out there.
I wonder if he'll move to like Vimeo or something, because Vimeo seems to have a lot of like documentary kind of content on it.
Nah, he went through that. He said one of the great things about YouTube that people use constantly on his channel is the search stuff.
Yeah.
And
discoverability.
Discoverability, and he couldn't find any of that anywhere else, which is exactly what we experienced.
Yeah.
They've got us over the barrel, as it would seem. And finally, this I know this is going to cause a lot of controversy, but
we're going to get a lot of comments.
There was something in there that was not fluidic.
That's it. He got you. That's the polonium.
Great.
Morgan got you.
Well,
Florida
no, when you opened it, it hissed like it was sealed.
Yeah, it was sealed.
I guess he could have like taken like a needle or something and injected it through the plastic somewhere, but it still would have released gas.
Anyway, this is it. the China virus. And if you will recall, there's so many good tweets about this. Have you seen these? Every major newspaper, in no uncertain terms, many of which are now deleted, but you can't delete anything from the internet, assured us this was not possible. If you thought this, you were just an idiot, and worse, you were a disinformation source, and you were flagged. In fact, some places would ban you from even posting this content. But now,
The Wall Street Journal has a headline that says the Facebook has ended a ban on posts asserting that the thing was man-made.
The variation I saw on this, and maybe was that it wasn't that they were getting rid of the ban on man-made. They were now debating whether or not it came from a lab, which sounds like it's the same thing, but it's not really.
Yeah, well, so the came from a lab thing could have been that somebody who worked in the lab was infected with it because they were studying an animal, not because it was manufactured there, which are very different things.
I mean, neither are good, but one kind of implies malice and the other one is just incompetence.
There's a phrase. It's like increase of function or something like that.
Hey, well, I think I know. Is it the whole is it the thing like when, you know, in the late 90s people were talking about Echelon and like the mass collection of users' data on the relatively nascent internet, and everybody sort of decried that as conspiracy theory and tinfoil hat. And then when finally we have somebody like Snowden that's got the concrete incontrovertible proof that was happening, it was like, oh yeah, we knew all along. And it's like, no, we didn't know all along. 20 minutes ago you were saying that was tinfoil hat, and now that we have proof, it was we knew all along. That's BS.
Including the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that they said this is unlikely. They derided, they put down anybody who even broached the topic that it might be true.
Somebody, I read an article from a scientist, you know, but I'm in no position to judge their credibility, that said that they were able to sequence the DNA and they didn't see anything that looked like other things that had been manufactured in the DNA. There were genes that were naturally occurring in that kind of biological thing. But again, it's like...
There's 5 guys who are also scientists who will tell you the opposite.
Yeah.
So you're never going to...
Yeah.
Who do you trust?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who I'm not going to trust.
Which person actually knows what they're talking about?
Well, and what are the ramifications if it was in fact man-made and it was made maliciously? Like, what will we do? Like...
Well, I'm pretty sure that's probably a treaty violation, right?
Well, if it was made maliciously, it was surprisingly ineffective compared to other things that we already had.
Really? Was it ineffective?
Well, I mean...
What's the name of that country there used to be a country inside of China that was rebelling?
Oh, yeah, they're gone.
When did that happen?
But releasing it on your own people seems like a weird strat.
Wasn't the world behind them solidly?
Yeah.
And didn't this perfectly time to stop that? And what's happening to them now?
They're suffering horribly.
Could be a coincidence. Also, the other theory, and I'm not saying this is true, but it fits the exact same way, is it changed the outcome of that election. The economy.
It did change
destroyed the economy before the election. Oh, it's going to be good comments this week.
No, I was going to say though, but I feel like that could have easily swayed it the opposite way if he had handled that better, but
the odds were good that he wasn't going to.
Yeah. I don't know if it was malicious. That was some like 4D chess they were playing.
At the end of the episode?
Oh, look at you.
Very tangerine. Stay tuned tomorrow for my thoughts.
Ooh, good cliffhanger.
Krista, give us an orange cliffhanger goodbye.
Bye.